represented by number 33, seen here in August 1963 at Donegal Square North on a service to Bloomfield. Delivered in February 1941, this AEC trolleybus had electrical equipment from GEC and was not withdrawn until October 1963. A large batch of post-war vehicles were purchased to expedite the withdrawal of the trams. Number 168, seen here, was built by Guy with GEC Electrics. It is seen at the Whitewell terminus in April 1968. The bus had just been overhauled and was subsequently preserved in England. The final delivery of trolleybuses came in two batches in the early 1950s. These were all BUT vehicles. They differed in the design of their bodies. Number 198, seen here at Strathmore Park terminus on the Antrim Road on the last day of services there in June 1965, was delivered in October 1950 and lasted until May 1968. Number 228 was one of the later batch of BUTs. It was supplied in 1954, and the eagle-eyed may spot differences in the window spacings from the earlier batch. 228 is passing Carlisle Circus on an Antrim Road service in this 1965 view. All the trolleybuses in our period had 6 wheels with one exception. This was number 246, a 4-wheel Sunbeam delivered in 1958 as a prototype for the next generation of trolleybuses that were never to be built. 246 is seen here passing the law courts on its way back to Haymarket Depot. Finally, a couple of points to note for those not too familiar with trolleybus operations. At termini, the usual method of turnaround was by way of a turning circle. These could be large, like that at the Grove on the Show Road, seen here, or very cramped, like that at Casement Park, the terminus of the Falls Road route. The rear end of a Belfast trolleybus was quite distinctive. The back panels of the top deck were painted grey, as deposits of carbon and rainwater from the overhead would have reduced the red and cream livery to this condition very quickly. The hooks on the roof above the grey panel secured the trolley poles when the bus was not in service and stopped them flailing around. Trolleybuses had a distinctive metal triangle at the back containing a brake warning light which lit up the word STOP in red. They also carried the letter T for trolleybus to warn other road users. The round opening at the bottom was used to contain a long bamboo pole with which the conductor could rewire the trolleys should they lose contact with the overhead wire. In 1963, John Laird, realising that the days of the trolleybuses were numbered, set out to film the routes which remained. In doing this, not only did he make a record of these silent and elegant vehicles, but inadvertently he captured a slice of social history, of the city in happier times before the troubles and the planners swept away so much that was once commonplace. In fact, it was the withdrawal of trolleybuses on the route to Castlereagh in East Belfast which spurred him into action. We begin our films at Short Strand Depot, which closed to trolleybuses in 1963, when the East Belfast routes, for which it had provided vehicles, were converted to motorbus operation. Trolley and diesel buses cross the Queen's Bridge towards the city centre. Our travels commence with the routes which served the Antrim Road. Routes 1 and 2 terminated here at Lansdowne Road, where there was a turning circle. Routes 5 and 6 carried on to the Bellevue terminus. While routes 3 and 4 served Glengormley, where the cramped location of the terminus meant that there was not enough room for a turning circle, and trolleybuses had to reverse round a triangular formation of overhead wires. This was something that trolleybuses were rarely called upon to do, and called for great skill on the part of the driver. Antrim Road buses on routes 1, 3 and 5 went via Carlisle Circus. Buses on routes 2, 4 and 6 travelled via Duncairn Gardens. Here a bus on number 4 route is turning into York Street from Duncairn Gardens, on its way from Glengormley to the city centre. The starting point for the Antrim Road buses in the city centre was here in Castle Place. We next follow one of the cross-town trolleybus routes which ran from Crega in the east of the city to Carsglen in the northwest. Buses going to Carsglen carried the number 35, those for Crega were 33s. This is the view from the top deck of a 35 heading down Donegal Place and Royal Avenue in March 1963. Here a number 35 negotiates Carlisle Circus. And turns into the Ballysillan Road towards the terminus. Trams on the Cliftonville Road were withdrawn in 1947 and motor buses were used in the interim until the new trolleybus route was opened in April 1950. The wires were extended to Carsglen beyond the old tram terminus. Leaving Carsglen, 35s on their way to Crega went down past Cliftonville Circus and headed for the city centre via Frederick Street. From Donegal Square North, the 33s went down Chichester Street, passing the Law Courts, and headed towards Crega via the Albert Bridge. The route to Crega was one of the first in East Belfast to be converted from tram to trolleybus operation. Trolleybus operated on this route from February 1941. This is the roundabout at Bell's Bridge. Trolleybuses ceased to operate the whole of the Crega to Carsglen route from October the 13th, 1963. We next pick up another East Belfast route, the number 30 to Bloomfield. Trolleybus operation began on this route in May 1946. The original intention had been to replace all trams with trolleybuses by 1944, but the war slowed up delivery of vehicles and equipment. Priority was given to the routes in East Belfast. This is the Bloomfield terminus. Heading back from Bloomfield towards the city centre, a number 30 passes St Donald's Church at the junction of the Bearsbridge and Bloomfield roads, and passes a once familiar green and cream UTA bus on the Bearsbridge Road. A bus from Bloomfield turns into Cromack Street on its way back to the city centre. East Belfast was very well served by its trolleybuses. Several destinations were served by buses which used both the Queen's and the Albert Bridges.